Okay, excellent.
Okay, looks like we only have one student at this time.
Okay. We'll give it another moment then and see if any students want service hours. You can raise your hand and we'll record that. Okay, then let's officially call this meeting to order then at 6:01. This is the regular May 2022 meeting of the Northwest San Pedro Neighborhood Council. Would you do the roll call, Mr. Secretary?
Alexander, you can put your hand down now. Thank you. Oh, I may have been talking. Did you say do the roll call?
Yes, Mr. Secretary, would you do the roll call? Yes.
Okay. John Barbera.
Here.
Vic Christensen here. John DeMiglio.
Here.
Dan Dixon and Craig Goldfarb are both excused. Cynthia Gagne. I do not see her in attendees either. We'll come back. Christian Guzman.
I'm here.
Gwen Henry.
Present.
Melanie Lebrecq.
Here.
Kelly Miller is also excused. Alec Norman.
Here.
Thomas Norman.
Present.
Ray Regalado.
I am present.
Adrianita Reyes Cruz. I do not see her in attendees either. Dave Samperio.
Here.
Angela Sumner.
Here.
Chris Valle.
Here.
We have 12 present. That is a quota, or quorum, I mean.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. And as always, we at the Northwest San Pedro Neighborhood Council look forward to hearing any comments from the council or the public. And we will observe rules of decorum and respect, with one person at a time speaking when they're recognized by me. And if you want to make a comment on a topic, raise your hand and I'll recognize you for up to 2 minutes. So then we'll now proceed with our next item before us, which is general public comment. So if anyone would like to make a comment that is not on an item on our agenda, you may do so now. And I already see one hand up, so we'll see if that's for public comment or something else. And then we'll proceed from there. Okay, so now I see 2. John, the name was John. Why don't you go first? I think it was John Paul Tabakian. Yes. I'll let him speak.
Yes. Hello. I'm still learning how to use Zoom. How are you all? My name is John Paul Tabakian, and I represent West Cal Academy. And I would like to introduce the community to our Career Pathway workshop that will be free for everybody over at the Alta-C campus. And we will be profiling maritime industry careers with the Inland Boatmen's Union. And our event will be held on Saturday, May 21st from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. I did email the board a copy of our PDF flyer. I hope that was appropriate, and I invite you, please share with your members. And we're just here to help people find employment in this crazy economy of ours. A lot of jobs to fill, and our program is available for free to the public. Thank you. And if you have any questions, my contact information is in the email that I sent a few minutes earlier. So thank you very much for this opportunity to present.
You're welcome. Mel Wilson. Go ahead, Mel Wilson.
Good evening. I'm Mel Wilson. I'm a candidate for mayor of Los Angeles City, and I feel like I'm getting to know some of you. This is, I think, my second time for your coastal, and I went to your sustainability committee a month or so ago. Gwendolyn, thank you for sending me the information as a follow-up as my request on the cargo container and their emissions. And should I call you President Regalado? I was on your commission meeting a couple nights ago last week when you were pushing forward. I remember a letter that was going forth asking for an increase in the neighborhood council dollars from what your current amount is back to the 50,000 amount. I believe in neighborhood councils. I'm a small business owner, but I got involved in public policy in the Chamber of Commerce's over the years, from Climate Chambers to the United Chambers of Commerce of the San Fernando Valley. My website is melformayor.com. The ballots have already been mailed out. My policies really will be making our city safe, making housing more affordable, investing in our youth, in our children, and our seniors, and making our city business friendly. But last but not least, taking strong initiative to making our climate more cleaner. And I've served on the Metro Board on 2 different terms for Mayor Reardon and Mayor Viragosa. Served on the Fire Commission for Mayor Reardon as well. And I was small young man on the Small Business Commission for Mayor Tom Bradley nearly 30 years ago. So my name is Mel Wilson. I've been in your town. I had a great burger at the Brewing Burger, which is really nice, when I was there on the day after Earth Day at the White Point Nature Reserve as a cleanup day. So thank you all for listening to me. Mel Wilson, go to my website, take a look at it, and I would ask you to consider voting for me for mayor of Los Angeles City. Thank you again.
Get you attending. We'll look for any other hands from the public on general time. Okay, I don't see any more. I'm going to make an announcement, then we'll do one last check. So at the neighborhood council, we're always trying to, I think, get a balance between engaging the public in democracy and also our time that we have all in our lives and for the neighborhood council. And so currently, as most other governments do, we have our full council, and then we have our committees, which are general, just various topics, specific and general in nature. Like we have our planning committee, and we have a committee on sustainability, and we have a youth and outreach committee. And those committees operate just like the council, in that they entertain items and they have public comment time, and they listen to the public, and they create motions, and they get seconds, and they get votes, and then the motions will hopefully carry. And if they do with a majority, then they will be forwarded to the full council. And if there are minutes drawn up, which hopefully there are, which they can be done easily by the Zoom recording. Now that we have Zoom recording technology, we can easily make minutes off of those. So hopefully all those steps are being followed. And if any of the committees or the chairs need any assistance on following any of those steps, they're welcome to reach out to me, or I'm sure the vice president or Mr. Secretary or the treasurer will all be willing to help out to get that done properly. And with that, that concludes my announcement. We'll look for hands one more time from either the public or the board, and then we'll go on to the next agenda item. Okay, I don't see any more. So now the next item before us then is our homelessness liaison report. Do we have Laurie Jacobs here?
Yes, thank you, Christian. I am here. And if somebody can put the report up on the screen, that would be great. As you all know, homelessness is a very complex topic. And so each month I just pick a few points to share with you. If you have questions on some things I'm not covering, please feel free to ask me. So, and reminder always, if you see somebody out on the streets that may need help, best do not approach them, but observe, take down the information, where they are, what they're wearing, and go to the LA Hot portal and enter that information. I entered one last week. That triggers the outreach team to come out and assist the person. Update on shelters and interim housings. So the two bridge homes, you got Wilmington and San Pedro, have been operating at COVID capacity with 75 beds available. They're working now to be post-COVID, hopefully, and get those back to 100 because we need them. For the most of the time, they've been full with a waiting list. The Harbor Tiny Home Village has actually 75 units, can house 80 people. Most of the time, that's been full too. I'm reporting here the numbers as of the date I did this report, but it changes daily. Most of you in San Pedro are aware of an encampment that's been ongoing. We refer to it as the Gulch Road. It's across the street from Block Field. The 4118 ordinance went into place. The signs were put up. And then on April 14th, law enforcement was permitted to go with their care team to talk to these people and enforce them moving because they were offering them shelter. At the time I was there, 2 of the people accepted the tiny home pallet shelter, 2 people went over to Bridge Home, and other people kind of scattered, not exactly sure where they are, but we're keeping an eye on it. So the good news is it's looking much better at that site. We just hope they're not just setting up an encampment in another area. Emergency EHV, emergency housing vouchers. The county got over 6,000 of these. They're being issued with a lot of work from our service providers. However, they're still very short on landlords having units available. So if you know of any landlord who might be interested, they're pretty much guaranteed getting their rent on time. There's a signing bonus right now with one of the housing authorities for $2,500 per unit in their complex. There's a lot of incentives. There's case management. Send them my way and I will see if I can help out. Legislative updates. I track a lot of legislation. I just mentioned a couple here. AB 2220 was put through homeless court legislation. The Board of Supervisors supported this, and this is going to enable more homeless courts to be set up. It's been very successful in Redondo Beach, and they're in the process of setting one up in Torrance. So I'm anxious to see this model used elsewhere because this offers restorative justice. Instead of penalizing people and piling on more fines for people that are experiencing homelessness, this gives them an opportunity to accept whatever resources are offered, whether it be recovery home, mental health, or depending on what their situation is, they can get their record expunged and their fines cleared if they follow the what the judge has ordered. The Blue Ribbon Commission did get approved. Barely. Board of Supervisors approved it 3-2. And so we're all anxious to see what the next steps will be. A little bit of a shakeup. The executive director of LASA resigned a couple of weeks ago. 2 acting directors have been in place. So we're going to watch. There's been strong support from almost every organization I've dealt with that they believe that the governance that the Blue Ribbon Commission is suggesting will be more effective, but it's not going to happen overnight. A couple of things that aren't in this report, but I felt I should bring to your attention is the eviction moratorium for LA County is going to end on June 30th. The predictions are not good. I've seen predictions up to 100,000 people expected to possibly be evicted from their homes come July 1st. We can't even handle the amount of people that are out there now. So we're all looking at as many preventative processes as we can. And if you know anybody who's about to be evicted or gets an eviction notice, or you're one of those people, you can get legal assistance at Stay Housed LA. Hopefully, if it was COVID related and you were behind on your rent, you should have filed something with Housing is Key, but that ended March 31st. So it's very important that people get directed to Stay Housed LA, because once the eviction process happens, you don't have a lot of recourse. You need to get ahead of it. So that concerns me. I'm always available if anybody has any specific questions on any of the issues surrounding homelessness. And the last thing I'm going to say is, please make sure that you're registered to vote, get familiar with the candidates, okay? And learn what the platforms are for each of the candidates in dealing with homelessness and addressing the root causes of homelessness. If you want to see change, then let's vote for people that you feel are making the change that will be productive. And I see one hand from, I'm not supposed to call on people, but you guys do.
Yeah, okay. Gwen Henry.
Sorry, regarding the amount of the volume of people who are projected to be put out come June, do they have, does the city have any records as to how many in each neighborhood? Is there any information as to which ones might be in jeopardy? And, you know, so that perhaps there can be an outreach in San Pedro or CD15. There are actual names or addresses and
That
people.
would be great if there was such a thing. I don't even know how you could, I like the way you're thinking, Gwen. I don't know how that would even be managed, because people need to use the services that are being offered to them, like the Stay Housed LA. How would you find a list of somebody that's about to become homeless unless they have notified a service provider? And some people do, and the service providers are working together to try and put preventative measures in. The group that I work with, the South Bay Cities Council of Government, we cover the South Bay cities, but we also cover Harbor area. We sometimes have client aid funds to maybe cover 1 month, okay, until they can get on track. We can cover, sometimes it's utility bills that they're behind on, and that will throw them off. But Gwen, I'm just not aware of anything that, I'm making a note of it, but any way of tracking it the way you're asking. Sorry.
I see Ray's hand.
Ray?
Yeah, if I could, on the eviction piece, also know that if you know people who are outside the city of LA, there is the Los Angeles County Department of Consumer and Business Affairs, the Rent Stabilization Unit. They can also assist with people outside Los Angeles and in the unincorporated areas, which we have a finger of unincorporated area in San Pedro. The other thing too is that as far as numbers are concerned, there is, they don't have the numbers because the anticipated amount of people who are going to be, who the anticipated evicting are, is a projection. And landlords, even at this particular point, are starting to ask their tenants to be prepared to be evicted. But the process takes up to 60 to 90 days, even to get a court case on the docket. So it could be a long time. So if people are going to feel that they're going to be evicted, then they might be able to help themselves if they address or take opportunities with the countywide dispute resolution program that is also available to them, and they can also see it, get information through the Department of Consumer and Business Affairs also. I hope that's a little helpful on that, but numbers you're not going to get until after they start occurring. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. I'd like to get with you offline to get more information on that, because the information I'm getting is these evictions are going to happen sooner than that, especially if somebody hasn't applied for any help or mediation, then they don't have a lot of recourse. So I'm not trying to say this is doom and gloom, but it's honestly, pretty frightening. We're already trying to prevent homelessness. And also, if anybody knows of someone who wants to rent a room out in their home, that's another homeless prevention. We have a home sharing program. There's all types of ways that we can help people out. So anyway, I appreciate you allowing me the time to share on all of this.
You're welcome. Thank you, Laurie. It's always good to hear your comprehensive report, and thank you for the work you do. Next up is our presentations of our Neighborhood Purpose Grant awardees.
Christian. Thank you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call each one of the organizations to speak. So the first organization that received $3,000 is Rainbow Services. So is Jessica or Tatiana here? Raise your hand if you are. For Rainbow Services. Okay, let's see. Oh, here she is. Okay. There we go. More. Okay, Jacqueline, you can go.
Hello, everyone.
2 minutes.
I'm Jacqueline Luna. I'm the Director of Supportive Services at Rainbow Services. And first off, I really want to say thank you to the Neighborhood Council for saying yes and granting us these funds to be able to plan this program. I supervise and support the case management, counseling, and children's program, and soon we'll be supporting the development of our education program, which is a proposal that you all said yes to. This education program will be supporting our families. As you are aware, we support survivors of intimate partner violence, and oftentimes the families have to leave their homes in order to seek safety, which means they have to leave things like their grocery stores, neighborhood laundromats, things that are familiar to them, which also includes schools. So with our on-site education program, the children will be able to receive remote learning lessons, tutoring, and homework help, which will ease their transition if they choose to go into in-person school or classes, or if they choose to, they can stay on site. And so that will be an additional support for their adjustment, because they're already adjusting to shelter living and community living and getting familiar with strangers. And so hopefully this will support their transition period. So we're very excited to be able to offer this opportunity to them. So thank you so much for your support in
Thank you,
making that
Jacqueline.
possible. Yeah, thank you.
Also, just for the public to know, we gave $18,000 in non-purpose grants amongst 8 awardees. And so hopefully they're all here tonight to tell you what they are doing with their money. The next one is Peter Rothy for Feed and Be Fed. We gave them $1,000. Peter, you have 2 minutes.
There we go. Council, Feed and Be Fed is again thankful for your support. This grant will allow us to implement a pilot program engaging a local unhoused person for several months as a paid helper in our food growing program at the Vic and Bonnie Christensen Science Center. Our pilot is based on the success of Alma Backyard Farms, working with ex-incarcerated at their fields, their growing fields in Compton. For 8 years, this program, patterned on the legendary Homeboy Industries, has helped recently released prisoners transition back into their communities by giving them a job, a sense of purpose, and self-respect. We're not so naive to believe our program is a cure, but we have worked long enough with thousands of community visitors and volunteers to know that being outdoors in nature, nurturing vegetables, flowers, hands in the soil, is a powerful and valuable therapy. A group of students from Pola High School who worked at the Science Center for 2 days recently was asked to deliver one-word summaries of their experience: calming, energizing, productive, valuable, connected. That's a sampling of their responses. And we look to bring this transformative type of experience to someone struggling to escape life on the streets. As a side note, we just completed a series of 5 science classes with students from Taper Elementary School. We were deeply gratified by their enthusiasm, the enthusiasm of the 4th graders, and their response to the beautiful outdoor classroom there. We intend to develop this program to include all of the 3rd and 4th and 5th grade classes at Taper, and eventually students from all elementary schools in San Pedro. We're grateful that you continue to understand. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, from the Assistance League, is there anybody here from the Assistance League? We awarded them $3,000. Is anybody here?
You do have a hand up. It might be from there.
Okay, Gwen, there she is. Whoops.
Do I push anything?
Nope, there you go. You're all
Okay.
set. You have, Gwen, you have 2 minutes.
Terrific. My name is Gwen Rohar, and I am president of Assistance League San Pedro South Bay 2021-22. We are a chapter of National Assistance League in Weymouth Corners on 8th Street in San Pedro. Operation School Bell is our national program that began at our chapter in 1988. We clothe underserved and often homeless students in our communities within LA Unified School District, Local District South, covering communities from San Pedro to a portion of Gardena. The schools themselves, often wellness counselors, select the neediest to participate in our program. Students selected are invited to attend a shopping event at Old Navy, at Del Amo Mall in Torrance. Elementary students can spend $100 each in school-appropriate clothing, and middle and high school students can spend $150 each. They arrive at their designated date and time, shop for about 45 minutes, and check out through designated shopping lines where we pay for each purchase. On the way out, they stop at a table run by our Assistines, our teen auxiliary, where each Operation School Bell participant receives a toiletry kit and a school kit assembled and donated by them. We had 44 schools participate this year and served a total of 1,441 students. We had 32 elementary schools, 8 middle schools, and 5 high schools. The schools participating from San Pedro were 12 schools. They are 7th Street, 15th Street, Bandini Elementary, Cabrillo Elementary, Dana Middle School, Leland Elementary, Myler Elementary, Park Western Elementary, Point Furman Elementary, San Pedro High School, South Shores Elementary, and Taper. We truly appreciate the $3,000 we received for the grant, and we hope to continue to serve the community in the way that we know how. Thank you.
Thank you, Gwen. Our next recipient is Meals on Wheels. Elizabeth, are you here? Is there a Meals on Wheels recipient here? There we go. Hi, Elizabeth.
There we are. Sorry, my apologies.
Okay, Meals on Wheels, we gave $2,000 to. Elizabeth, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you. First of all, thank you very much for the grant. We really appreciate it. Meals on Wheels San Pedro has been around.
6:30.
Meals on Wheels San Pedro has been around for 50 years. Until the beginning of COVID, we were serving 30 people a day. Our staff consist of 1 chef and 1 part-time office manager. Since COVID, we are now serving 120 people a day. We have had no increase in staff whatsoever. Everything has been handled by volunteers. 50 of the extra people that we took on were unable to pay for their meals at all. Other people pay a subsidized charge of $7.50 or now gone up to $8 a day. These people could not afford to pay. There were special grants during COVID. Those grants have now gone. So we were faced with the prospect of how do we carry on feeding these people? We talked to every single one of them to see if we could move them over to the paying program, and a few of them we were able to do that, but most of them were just in dire straits, and these are our neighbours. So we reached out to you and other neighbourhood councils and many other people for grants to continue funding this. As you would see from the budget that I submitted to you, we are doing this as cheaply as possible. We are paying for some food. Obviously, we're also sourcing it from food banks, from donations, from all over, basically. So the cost per day is roughly $4 a day to provide one hot and one cold meal per person, which are delivered 5 days a week. So your grant of $2,000 will actually feed 20 people for 5 weeks. And we are very, very grateful for that. Thank you. And I'm slightly short of my 2 minutes.
The next recipient is Willenberg School, and we gave them $3,500. Okay, Gavin, let me allow you to talk. There you go. Hi, Gavin.
Hi, everyone.
You have your 2 minutes.
I'm Gavin Mergliani. I'm the proud principal of Willenberg Career and Transition Center. We're on the corner of Western and Weymouth.
Oops.
He got cut off.
Did he get cut off? Oh, no.
Something happened here.
Something happened. Where'd he go? Oh, there he is.
Mhm.
Did he lose his connection?
No, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, now he can.
Okay. So we're
Sorry,
on
I will start your time again.
we're on the corner of Western and Weymouth, and we go all the way down to 6th Street. We are really appreciative of the grant. What the grant is going to do is help us with beautification of our school and the San Pedro community. We're using, Julie Bender was the artist that did the mosaic on 25th Street. She is going to do a mosaic tile on our brick front as signage for our school. What Willenberg does is, since 1950, we served individuals with disability who were suffering from polio and helped them get back to school. Currently, we've transitioned over the past 10 years to a program where we help young adults with disabilities prepare for adulthood, whether that's vocational or an adult day program. The national average for unemployment for individuals with disabilities is about 19%. Willenberg students, when they graduate, 52% of our graduates in 2019, we were able to help get jobs. So we more than double the national average. And what it does is it helps our students feel part of the community, being able to contribute to their community, whether it's in church or school or work. They're just valued members of the community. And we do a lot of work by educating the community that our students are capable of doing the work, whatever job that they're interested. And just to give you an idea, some of our students work at Kaiser. Some of our students work at StubHub, the Staples Center, DASCO aerospace engineering programs. We look to see what they're interested in, and we work with businesses to help fill a need that they have. There is a tax credit for small businesses for hiring individuals that would be collecting Social Security. So it's a win-win for both, where the salary of our young adults would be supplemented up to 40% of their salary. So the businesses that are receiving that credit, would get a benefit as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next up is San Pedro Art Association, and we gave them $1,000. John Stinson, I thought I saw you here. Yeah, there you are.
Can you hear me now?
Hi, John. Yeah, you have
Ah,
2 minutes.
Thank you. I'm John Stinson, president of the Pedro Art Association, still. We've been around for 85 years. You gave us money to put on our Harbor-wide all grades student art contest and exhibition. We've done this for 12 years running, the last 8 being a Harbor-wide program. We do a competition. We open it up to all the kids to submit art, which they can choose to do, and we select people to be in the exhibition itself. Last year, the last couple of years, we've done a online presentation, but we've also done it at Crafted as well. So we actually frame and put up the 12 winners from each grade category for first, second, third, and honorable mention. But we did over 100 other student pieces as well. The kids show up for a reception. We give them awards and kudos. And Lord knows, kids can use all the kudos they can get these days. And especially when it comes to doing things like art, which apparently in the educational system doesn't seem to be as important as it really is, because if you think about it, 1 in 7 jobs are art related. So we are more than happy to take this money and put this show on. We do programs. We have a website which we put up and continue to put up that people can view the art on and find out what we're doing. And the kids, every one of them that enters this contest becomes a member in our art association until they graduate from high school. So we're trying to build a nation of artists, but we're starting here in Southern California, especially here in the Harbor area. So thank you once again. I appreciate your support this year, and hopefully we can count on you for support sometime in the future.
Thank you, John. Next is San Pedro Skate Park Association. Andy, is April or you going to speak? Okay. There you go, April.
Hi, is there any way I can get quick sharing screen access? I just have a short visual presentation.
No, this is just a 2-minute comment thing.
No problem. I wasn't quite sure what to expect. All right, so here we go. This is for a beautification project for Channel Street Skate Park. There is a couple high visibility areas on the corner of Channel Street and Pacific Avenue. That entire wall that is facing the traffic is going to be one of our main points to beautify the area. There's also a corner wall with some additional landscaping area that we plan to do some landscaping at. We're bringing in professional mural artists, as well as one of the back pillars that's connecting to the skate park, which is a high visibility area once you enter the parking lot. And we are in contact with a few select professional mural artists to beautify the area. And also with this beautification project, we are going to bring in professional content creators to direct and edit the interviews with the artists that will capture B-roll, time-lapse, visual, and experiential walkthrough of their process from conception to how to apply a large-scale mural. And we're hoping to share this digital content as educational videos and share it with the surrounding high schools' art classes. And so the budget will go for supplies. And thank you also for the opportunity.
Thank you, April. And they got $2,000. I didn't say that. The last one is Los Angeles Maritime Institute, and we gave them $2,500. Let's see, is Michael Sheehy here? Oh, there he is. Hi, Michael.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Good evening, board members. Yeah, my name is Michael Sheehy. I'm the Director of Development for the Los Angeles Maritime Institute, and we're affectionately known as LAMI here in San Pedro. On behalf of LAMI, I want to thank you for your partnerships through this Neighborhood Purposes Grant to enable children from local schools to participate free of charge in LAMI's profoundly enriching Topsail Youth Program. Topsail provides a once-in-a-lifetime, hands-on educational experience to youth who may otherwise never have access to such an opportunity. Through practical activities of navigating and steering our 110-foot tall ships, setting sails, and conducting environmental science observations, children become better caring stewards of the environment, comprehend academic concepts more proficiently, further deepen their belief in themselves, and expand perspectives of future possibilities. Thanks to your generous grant, local youth will gain a window into a bigger world outside their neighborhoods and into their unlimited capabilities. As a side note, I want to invite the board and community to join LAMI in celebrating our 30th anniversary and 3 decades of empowering youth to discover their greatest potential through at-sea educational adventure. Join our email news list through our website and keep an eye out for announcements of events and opportunities to celebrate throughout the year. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Michael. And our board can be very proud of the accomplishments we made with these grants that we gave this year with the extra money that we had. I think they're really excellent programs that we did to give and made good use of the extra funds we had. Thanks, everybody.
Okay, and thank you, Melanie, for helping to coordinate that. Next up, we have our public safety and other public official representatives. If they want to give reports, they can raise their hand and we will recognize them. So we'll look for hands.
I see Mark Fuentes and Scott Gaines and Paul Omer. Do we want to go in order?
Yeah, just whoever we noticed first.
Go ahead, Mark.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, fantastic. Good evening, everyone. My name is Mark Fuentes, field representative for Assemblymember Mike Gibson, and it's a pleasure to be here talking with you all. I just want to thank the board, the Neighborhood Council, for allowing me to speak during this time. And I just want to briefly introduce myself because I'm fairly new to the office, to Assemblymember Mike Gibson's office. And as you all may know, due to redistricting, the Assembly District 64 is going to be transforming into Assembly District 65 in the near future. And because of that, portions of San Pedro will be acclimated into the new Assembly District 65. So because of that, I want to get myself acclimated with the area that we will soon be overseeing as an assembly district, and making sure that I, get to know each and every one of you very intimately, so we can get to work, within the state on your behalf, on behalf of the area of San Pedro. So again, thank you, everyone. And I also did, before I close out, want to plug in an event that we're going to be hosting, and that's a veteran resource fair over at the Battleship, Iowa, May 20th, Friday, May 20th at 10 a.m. And again, this is an event that our office is hosting with a whole bunch of other sponsors and organizations, all aimed towards helping veterans in the San Pedro area. And again, I would love to pass this information along to the board through email. And, if you guys know any, veteran organizations within the San Pedro area that would like to participate, we are more than happy to accommodate them with the table and a space during that event. And again, it's going to be over at the Battleship, Iowa, Friday, May 20th. With that, I just want to thank the board for allowing me this time to speak, and I will be shooting this information all to the board so they can share with the community. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good night.
Did we see Scott Gaines? Scott Gaines, do you want to give your report?
Hello, everybody. Scott Gaines, Port Police. Just wanted to give you a quick rundown of the things that have changed since the last time I talked to you last month. all in all, the property crimes are actually down by a little bit. March, we had actually property crimes, 17 property crimes were down to 10. We've increased, as I mentioned before, we increased our direct patrols of certain areas, so there's less vandalisms that have been going on along Southwest Marine and near Warehouse 1. So that's attributed to a lot of it. At the same time, there has been a less break-ins in the containers. Also, we've done a lot of direct enforcement going along the train lines on that. Let's see what else we have. Everything else pretty much has been low. It stayed much lower on that. Our arrests are down, but also looks like a lot of activity was down from March. So we're anticipating a little bit of an upswing once the summer months start kicking in, due to usually summers are usually busy for us. We just finished with the, some of you probably went to the, the district address. And then I believe Lori Jacobs mentioned the 4118 LAMC. We were there during that time, us, LAPD and CD15 with LASA. And yes, 4 people did take the offer of housing. Some individuals scattered into the local neighborhoods, with a few people going into 22nd Street Park, which we advised them that there's no camping in that area. They pretty much left the area, and from there, we're not sure where they went. Let's see also. Back to direct enforcement. Okay, Fiesta. Just to let you know that there's you might know, but there is a Little Italy 5K run that's going to take place June 5th. And it starts at 7th and Harbor at the Little Italy at the downtown town square. And that'll be about, I believe, race is scheduled for 8 o'clock in the morning. So if you are interested, you can go look at the Little Italy 5K runs. It's hosted by CD15. And then just to let you know, also in June, that Insomniac, it's a concert, a 2-day concert is going to be taking place. It's going to be June 11th and June 12th. That's a Saturday and Sunday. We're looking at 7,000 to 10,000 people per day, and it's going to be at Berth 46. They were going to have this concert last year, but COVID, the Delta variant, caused it to shut down. So they revamped it and cooked it back up, and they're back in action. So you're looking at 7 to 10 people both days. And then, of course, on July 1st, there'll be the Cars and Stripes Forever. It's back since the COVID restrictions have been lifted. So that'll be July 1st. It starts 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. with the fireworks off of the Knuckle in the main channel. And that's pretty much all I have. Thank you very much for letting me speak.
Good evening.
Christian, Paul Ulmer is our SLO. So this would be the time he talks.
Yes, good evening, everybody. My name is Paul Ulmer. Glad to be here, glad to be invited. I'm the new senior lead officer for Northwest San Pedro. For those that you have not met me, I have been serving down in San Pedro for approximately 10 years, the last 3 focused on homeless outreach and engagement. I am new to the senior lead office, and I'll just make a remark that this upcoming Friday, I know there has been an uptick in illegal street vending, vending without a permit. So I will be working this weekend with the LA County Health Department, who has a task force that will be targeting that issue in our area. That will commence approximately 6 o'clock on Friday. Other than that, I have on my calendar, there will be a Norwegian parade coming up on May 17th around 15 hours, so 6:15. It will be around Palos Verdes and 10th Street. As of now, that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, any other public officials or public official representatives from any local offices such as city council or state senate or Congress?
I see Octaviano's hand.
Oh yeah, I think I saw an email from Octaviano. Are you attending via phone? You can speak, please.
Mr. Chair, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Yay.
Awesome. All right. Thank you. This is Octaviano Rios with the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment. Good evening, everybody. I hope everybody had a wonderful Mother's Day weekend. I'll try to keep my report short, but I do have 3 updates and announcements, mainly reminders for our board members and some for our stakeholders. As you know, the awesome Congress of Neighborhoods, an annual conference for both stakeholders and board members, is held every year, usually in September. And this year is no exception. It's still going to be held virtually. So mark your calendars for Saturday, September 24th. The planning committee is still looking for volunteers if you're interested in being a part of developing the day and volunteering for the day of. They're still looking for folks. You're welcome to attend their regular meetings. They just had one this past Saturday. If you want to take a volunteer role that's a little less demanding, they are looking for ideas. So if you have any ideas for workshops or just simply want to take their survey to get your ideas, please do so through your NC profiles. There's some hyperlinks you can click on. I believe if we didn't publish it this last time, I'll be more than happy to email you those hyperlinks, and I'll probably do that anyways. One of my famous long emails, hopefully more informative than not. But if you do want to get more direct information from about the Congress of Neighborhoods, go to www.neighborhoodcongress.la, neighborhoodcongress.la, and that'll keep you pretty well informed. Just click on it every so often for updates from there. With regards to the City Clerk's Neighborhood Council funding, there are some deadlines that I'm sure your treasurer will bring up a little later. May 20th is the final date to submit an event request for approval using the current fiscal year funds. June 1st is the final date to submit a check payment request through the Neighborhood Council funding system, including MPGs. And June 20th is the final date to make purchases with your Neighborhood Council bank card. There are some workshops coming up if you're interested for brushing up on your training. The administrative packet annual budget form workshop is coming up May 19th from 6 to 7:30. And there are 2 workshops that cover the Neighborhood Council Program and System Portal. One is May 10th from 2 to 4, and the other one's May 24th from 6 to 8 in the evening. And just as a reminder, some of these are for financial officers, treasurers, second signers, bank holders, alternate signers. But any board member can attend these, any stakeholder can attend these. So I encourage especially committee members that are not on the board to partake in this and see how your funds are being administered and what the expectations are. And last but not least, you should have also received in your NC profiles the Innovation and Performance Commission's invitation to neighborhood councils to submit your ideas to improve city service delivery for a chance to possibly get funded through the city's Innovation Fund. So please note that upon submission, all titles and rights, tangible or not, to and in your submitted materials and ideas shall be the property of the City of Los Angeles. For more information, go to innovate.lacity.org and you'll get access to information about the fund, about the commission, how much money is available in the fund, and of course, access to the application. That concludes my report, Mr. Chair and board members. Thank you so much.
All right, well, thank you, Octaviano. Last call for any public officials or their representatives. Okay, then we'll move on to our next item on the agenda, which is our consent calendar. So the consent calendar items are taken as a whole. If someone wants to remove an item, we can consider that separately. Yes, Mr. Secretary.
The process of getting minutes for the previous meeting would more adequately be called an ordeal and was anything but smooth. So they are not ready for tonight. So that one needs to be pushed off till the June meeting.
Okay, so we'll consider that separately then. Mr. Secretary, call the roll then for the other item, which is, I believe, the extension, the CIS asking for the extension.
Okay, John Barbera,
Yes.
Vic Christensen, aye. John DeMiglio,
Yes.
Cynthia Gagne, she was here.
She put a thumbs up. She said yes.
Okay,
Now,
what? Talk again, Cynthia?
can you hear me now?
Yes, now I can hear you. Christian Guzman,
Yes.
Gwen Henry,
Yes.
Melanie LeBrecq,
Yes.
Alec Norman,
Yes.
Thomas Norman,
Aye.
Ray Regalado,
Yes.
David Semperio, David Semperio, you're still muted. Okay, Angela Sumner,
Yes.
Chris Valle,
Yes.
last call for David Semperio. Okay, well, Mark Tim has not voted. So that's 11, no, wait. 12 ayes and 1 not voted. So that carries. What? What was that?
I didn't say anything.
Okay,
I can't see where that's coming from.
so that carries.
Okay, very good. If there's no objection, then we will consider the minutes at the next full council meeting in June. Okay, then. The next item before us then is our motions. And I think we have a couple of motions. Let's see here. First, we have our Budget and Finance Committee. So go ahead, Madam Treasurer.
Yeah, so the first thing is our MER, which is not out of committee because it was earlier than when it's available. There we go. So after everything has come out, they were all paid the MPGs and stuff. We have $10,266.94 left. All the MPGs were paid out. And that leaves us our total. So do I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Chris move,
Seconded. Gwendolyn?
Gwen second. Any discussion? Okay, so call for the vote. Thomas?
Aye.
Oh, Victor, just one moment.
Just one quick verification. Christian, were you able to complete the training?
No, I'm still ineligible for the funding.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure so we call the roll call votes right.
Okay, Thomas, sorry. Yes,
Yes, aye.
Dave Sampiero. Dave? Okay, we'll come back. John Barbera,
Yes.
Vic,
Aye.
Ray,
Yes.
John DeMaglio,
Yes.
and Cynthia,
Yes.
and Christian's ineligible. Gwen,
Aye.
Melanie, yes. Angela,
Yes.
Chris Valier,
Yes.
and David Sampirio. Okay, I'll mark him out of room. Okay, the next is the budget. Scroll down here. There we go. And there's, whoops, hello. And there's the budget. The 10,266.94. We have outreach 2630.36 left. And then we have administrative funds 3,340. So we this is out of committee, so any discussion on this? If not, okay, Thomas,
Aye.
Dave Sampirio. Okay. John Barbera,
Aye.
Victor,
Aye.
Ray,
Yes.
John DeMaglio,
Yes.
Cynthia,
Yes.
Gwen,
Aye.
Melanie, yes. Angela,
Yes.
okay, and Chris,
Yes.
alrighty. Now, our next item is, we'll go by this because that's for the report, is for outreach is requested $1,200 for movie night. That's going to be June 11th in the park. Fees have gone up on the movie licensing fee because of everything's gone up because of inflation, but so this is out of committee. And so is there any discussion about this? Chris?
Yes. Thank you. It's for those of you who've been around long enough, this is a fairly standard movie in the park kind of production. We're going to have a sock drive. I believe all the stuff we did last time. Sock drive, animal exhibits from the county facility next door, and the standard movie starting at dusk. As Melanie mentioned, the costs did go up for the movie license, but at the same time, they also sort of cut us a break because we're a public organization. So it's a reasonable budget. We're gonna have some money set aside for possible prepackaged snacks to hand out, and we're still trying to recruit food trucks to attend. So that's kind of it. But we're looking forward to kicking off a season of public events, hopefully.
Anybody else? Gwen?
So this is out of this year's budget, and but we're kind of kicking it off. It's the end of the budget, and then we will kick off hopefully new events with our upcoming budget and new year. It's a question.
I don't know. This event is now for this budget, and it will come out of this year's money. That's why we're getting approved now, because as Octaviano stated in his report, events have to be submitted by May 20th. And that's why it's going now to use this year's money.
And a follow-up question, I apologize. If we have any funds left over, are we still allowed to roll over? Is that still?
We can roll over up to $10,000.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any more questions? Okay, call for the vote. Thomas?
Yes.
Dave Sampirio? Okay, John Barbera?
Yes.
Vic?
Aye.
Ray?
Yes.
John DeMaglio?
Yes.
Cynthia?
Yes.
Gwen?
Aye.
Melanie, yes. Angela?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Motion carries, and I'll get that event sent off right away.
And so we are waiting for city clerk to approve before we publicize. Am I
Right,
correct?
I have to send the event, and the procedure is they have to have 30 days to approve this, but because we're up against the wall of the date, Sean is really good about, but those are the requirements. If we don't give them 30 days, it's kind of a problem. So that's why I was pushing to get this in now so I could get it submitted.
And we'll get the standard email
So there's a
response.
standard email response because your name as the chair will be on this. So
Right.
she'll email you, she'll email me and let us know that it's approved. That the moment I get the approval, right now you work on what you want me to go buy, what type of popcorn online or wherever, Smart and Final, tell me what it is so that as soon as I get their approval, I will go and grab it. So
Okay. And I'll keep an eye out for the email.
okay. Alrighty, so we're all ready up for that. So we're all done with budget and finance. So go back.
Okay, Madam Treasurer. So now we'll move on to our environment and sustainability motion. So this is considering a letter on the EcoChem NOP to be sent to the Los Angeles Harbor Department. Councilwoman Henry, did you want to make a motion?
Sure. Let me get a letter for her. There it is. There's her letter.
Thank you.
No, that's not the letter.
Well, before the motion, I wanted you to know that this came through the Joint Environment and Sustainability Committee. All of the neighborhood councils in attendance. This has been discussed over 2 different meetings, and this letter was prepared, and the larger body of the Joint Sustainability Committee voted unanimously for it. And our committee was there in a vast majority. There was only 1 missing, and also voted for this to bring to the board unanimously. This is a notice of preparation, which is another form of it's an initial step to inform members of the public that an EIR is going to be prepared. And this is a letter of feedback on the item. And what it is, well, let me just give you a little overview. Cement, it turns out, the cement process, creating cement, using cement, is significantly disastrous on the environment. Every pound of cement almost emits an entire pound of CO2 into the atmosphere. And the world uses cement in such volume. It literally, the usage of what we humans do, it's water and then cement. Cement is number 2 for the usage of materials that we do. Anyway, so and last, for a picture of this, if cement were a country, and we were equating its CO2 emissions on the planet, only China and the United States are number 1 in pollutants over CO2 from cement usage in the world. So anyway, with that, back in 2018 in Poland, the Paris Climate Accord, well, there was a similar one in 2018. It happened in Poland, and the cement industry was invited to this particular meeting. And there was an overall agreement by the cement industry globally to cut CO2 emissions. And one of the things that has come out of that is a new cement process that, in this case, and what we're addressing here, is that there's a company, EcoChem, and they have a material that's going to be imported into the United States that the creation of cement is going to be about 10% the CO2 of normal cement processes. So this material, it's a slag, it's a crystallized material that's going to be imported and delivered to the harbor. It's going to be over at the berths that are over by I don't know if you know where the USC rowing location is. It's kind of closer to Wilmington. It's a 5-acre site, I believe. But the material is going to be delivered there, and they are considering a few things. It sounds like they want to process the material right there on site. Anyway, so these were thoughts that came out of committee, and everything that's in black we voted on. And there were some other there were questions about other environmental impacts that this material could have by being on site. Just the concern is that if it's dumped on site, and you know, we've had some gusty winds in the cement process. When winds pick up, that material gets airborne, and it is a health issue. And there were concerns about it being a health issue with this material too. So what happened was that red portion, after getting some additional information, if you could bring it up on screen, the red portion is a new edit. Anyway, I would like to motion to consider the letter before the edit. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Point of order.
Yes.
If there's going to be an amendment, the amendment should be considered first, as I recall.
Okay. Then let's retract that motion and motion to amend the letter. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. So I don't know if Pat Nave is here at the moment. Melanie, we cannot hear you.
Oh, you have to call for the vote now.
Okay.
On this, you've had discussion on it already, so you have to call for the vote and then move on to the letter itself for further discussion.
Well, we haven't had discussion yet. Do we? Cynthia, we can't hear you.
I was saying we haven't had discussion because I had 2 questions.
Yes.
This is about the amendment right now. Then we go to the letter.
I'll wait till the letter. They're just general questions, but I'll wait till the letter.
Okay. Well, just to let you know, the red portion, yes, there were over in a town called Vallejo, there were some health issues that had occurred, and if you can actually access the links and read the concerns that Vallejo had, and some of the impacts that they had during this process. So with that, one of the concerns is, well, there's two materials, calcium sulfide and chromium. I don't think it's hexavalent chromium, but that, you know, some of us would know Aaron Brockovich, that movie from. But oh, Pat.
Yeah.
This is your opportunity. I would like to hand it over to Pat at this point.
You're speaking on the amendment now, the chemical stuff?
Yes.
Chemicals, this material comes from Mexico and it comes from Japan. When you have to dry it at some point, and so some of the pollution that was discovered was, or the chemical pollution was discovered was because of the petroleum product that's used to dry the material. And the other part of it is the calcium sulfide content of the slag itself. So all that this asks for is, hey, it's not included in the issues that you listed to be studied. We're asking that you please study those issues. That's all this is. On the NOP, is we're not commenting on an EIR itself. That's going to be a year and a half from now. We just think that it ought to be studied as you go forward with your EIR. And that's all that this amendment asks them to do. You see that sentence that says, we do not cite these articles as proof that there is a problem, but do think the matter should be analyzed in the EIR as a significant potential impact. And it is hexavalent chromium 6 that's in the, that was discovered in the other project. The other project was turned down, by the way.
Thank you, Pat.
Call for the question on the amendment so we can get to the letter.
So I would like to call the vote on the amendment. Melanie, would you like to? You're on mute.
Melanie just did call the question.
Victor, you want to call the roll call vote?
Call the roll call. I was asking for the roll call.
Okay, John Barbera. This is on the amendment only. John Barbera.
Yes.
Dick Christensen, aye. John DeMiglio.
No.
Cynthia Gagne.
Yes.
Christian Guzman.
Yes.
Gwen Henry.
Yes.
Melanie Lebrecq.
Yes.
Alec Norman.
Yes.
Thomas Norman.
Yes.
Ray Regalado.
Yes.
David Samperio.
Yes.
Angela Sumner.
Yes.
Chris Valle.
Yes.
Okay, that's 12 ayes and 1 nay. It carries.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Secretary. I'm going to take the chair back now. I had a technical difficulty. I apologize. I remember the days when we were in person and losing a connection wasn't really possible unless it's some sort of like an interpersonal relationship, but I digress. So now we're considering the letter as amended. Is that correct, Mr. Secretary?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, are there any additional comments from the public? And then we'll go to the council afterwards. Any comments from the public? Okay, any from the council? Any comments from the council?
Cynthia, did you have some questions?
Actually, Pat answered them. I wanted to know what was unhealthy in what countries. So he answered my questions.
I think I see Ray. Go ahead, Ray Regalado.
Thank you. I just need a little clarity. The explanation, I appreciate the detail and the explanation, but I just want to know, was this considered in our own sustainability committee? And if so, what were the results of that? The vote?
This was brought forward at the joint.
I understand, but usually after that, at some point, don't we have it go into our committee? So
correct. What unfortunately occurred is that we did not have quorum for a secondary committee meeting. So because we did have essentially quorum at joint sustainability, it was moved forward to the board at that point. But we will moving forward have the joint committee, and if there's anything referred to that larger body, we will then go to our own committee and vote on it ourselves with our own amendments.
Again, if I can just get a little clarity, did you say that you had quorum at the joint sustainability
This is
committee?
correct.
And when you say quorum, were you talking about quorum for that joint meeting, or you had members from your sustainability committee attending that meeting and you had quorum there?
we had our own committee was in force, and out of all of our members, only one was not there. We had quorum within our own committee, and it had that was attending the Joint Sustainability Committee. We were all present.
Okay. Thanks.
I see Pat Nave's hand up. Pat Nave.
Yeah, Ray, this is somewhat similar to what happens in planning and land use, the Joint Planning and Land Use Committee. When matters come up that affect more than one area and is on the agenda there, oftentimes votes will be taken there. If there's a quorum of an individual committee, that committee will take a vote then. Sometimes they'll say they want to take it back and discuss it more. In this case, there was a quorum of the Sustainability Committee of Northwest there, and the vote was taken and recorded for that committee as well as the entire committee. It was Joint Sustainability Committee.
Thank you, Pat.
And with that, all of these items had been vetted by individuals in the other neighborhood councils. Because this heavily impacts Wilmington, Wilmington's voice is very much in this. This meets their approval as well. Dick.
I just wanted to make a point that doing something like this as a subset to a joint committee meeting should be the exception, and I emphasize exception, not the rule. So you should, everybody, and this goes for everybody, it just so happens that this is the example. This should go through our own local neighborhood council committee in favor of going through only the joint committee.
Pat.
Yeah, this is, I'm going to follow up on Dick's point. He raises a really good point. When the neighborhood council provisions were being discussed, when the charter was written back in 1999, there was a lot of discussion on this, and it was pretty much thought that what would happen on area-wide matters of area-wide concern, things like transportation, recreation, things like the port and so forth, is that the way some of these matters would be decided would be by joint action, and it is an efficient way. And it was noticed on an agenda, so the public would know that it was a matter of discussion, and it appeared on the agenda documents for that meeting as well. But your point is, I understand your point.
Madam Treasurer.
Yeah, I just want to make a comment just in general. We, as a board, have 7 standard committees that are set up by our board, by our bylaws and our standing rules. We are required, and we owe it to our stakeholders, to have monthly meetings for those 7 standing committees. And this goes for everybody. You need to have your meetings every month. There should be no reason why any committee should not be having their meetings. And if you aren't having your meetings, then you better talk to Christian about it, about why you aren't having your meetings. Okay?
John DeMeglio.
Yeah, I have a question. Was Wilmington involved in this meeting at all, since it's in their backyard?
Wilmington has had input in this letter. They were not present. Two of the members, the president and I believe the environmental committee chair, were to be present, and they missed this meeting for some reason. But they had voiced they had put their voice in this. In fact, had significant input. And the truck traffic issue specifically is one that is very, very important to Wilmington. And these concerns come through them. John?
Yeah, did it go through Wilmington Committee board? And what was the real results of the Wilmington committees, from Wilmington's board?
Kat, have they had their meeting yet? We are still all voting on this letter. In fact, Central, I believe, is having a discussion about this as we speak, another committee. But this is our opportunity to bring the same letter that is a unified voice of various neighborhood councils through the Sustainability Alliance, our group. So this is a
Pat, maybe
group-created letter.
question.
I can answer that question. They've had it on their agenda for their meetings. The president and vice president of Wilmington have made a site visit. I went with them to it. They are very interested in it. There were two speakers at the public hearing on this NOP, one of which was the commissioner, Board of Harbor Commissioners, commissioner from Wilmington, Lucio Moreno Linares. They are very interested in this project. They are going to submit a letter from the president saying, look, this is what we want. It's basically this letter. And when we can have the time to have a quorum for the meeting, we're going to do it. They even called a special meeting on Mother's Day to try to consider this, but couldn't get a quorum, which is not much of a surprise on a Mother's Day. But yeah, they're very interested in it. One committee in Central has already adopted it. Well, two committees have adopted it now, and I'm not sure how they're going to work it out to get it to their full council. And Coastal has adopted this and a motion of its own also. So we're the last of the four to kind of weigh in on it.
And this is a time-sensitive matter. I believe that it needs to be before the Port of Los Angeles by I believe May 11th. Is that correct,
The
Pat?
day after tomorrow.
The day after tomorrow.
Okay, excellent. We'll do one last check for any other speakers from the public or from the council. Then if there are no others, we'll go for the vote then. Okay, go ahead then, Mr. Secretary.
I have one more question.
I understand, Mr. DeMeglio, but we've heard you a couple of times, and then the
If
protocol
there's nobody else questioning, can I ask one more question?
It's fine.
All right. If there's no objection, we'll have one more question, then we'll proceed to the vote after the answer.
Okay. Was Central San Pedro in that joint committee? And if not, why weren't they? And if not, how come they haven't voted on it yet?
I can answer the question.
Please do so.
I appeared at the Port Committee a month ago. They agreed to take it to their full board and have it on their agenda setting, and also agreed to attend the Joint Sustainability Committee. Some of you know Central has a few organizational issues. They didn't appear at the Sustainability Committee, and they didn't send it to their agenda committee. In order to try to make the deadline, they ran it through their Planning and Land Use Committee last week and adopted it, and are going to send a letter there from the committee with the proviso that they're going to present it to their full board at their next meeting, which is June, excuse me, I think on the 17th, maybe, but after the deadline for submitting. And the Port Committee of Central adopted it tonight and is going to put it on their agenda committee, and I don't know if they're going to write a separate letter or not. John, some of this is connected with the Charter Section 907 opportunity to weigh in before action is taken. There's a discussion going on in the port right now, and in fact, it came up at the president's meeting last week, where they're trying to work out a way so that there's adequate time to run these things, to do the work on the document, and excuse me, take it through committee and have time to get it to the full neighborhood council. I mean, right now they've extended this to 60 days to May 11th. Hopefully that answers your question. They've considered it. If you know, their planning and land use committee and their port committee both. It just hasn't made it to their full council yet.
Excellent. Go ahead now, Mr. Secretary, and do the.
Okay, this is the vote for the entire letter. John Barbera,
Yes.
Vic Christensen, aye. John DeMiglio,
No.
Cynthia Gagne,
Yes.
Christian Guzman,
Yes.
Gwen Henry,
Aye.
Melanie Lebrecq,
Yes.
Alec Norman,
Yes.
Thomas Norman,
Aye.
Ray Regalado,
Yes.
David Samperio, Angela Sumner,
Yes.
Chris Valle.
Yes.
Last call, David Samperio.
Yes, I'm sorry. I just stepped away again. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's 12 ayes, 1 nay, it carries.
Thank you all.
Excellent. Yes, thank you for your patience. Thank you for your comments. And we'll move on now to our next item, which is committee reports. And our first committee to make a report is Budget and Finance Committee. Go ahead, Madam Treasurer.
Hi. So the biggest thing we have to report on is, the first thing I'll go over is number 5. The website that we got the invoice for in the mail. After I got to looking at it a little closer and remembering when we created the new website, the name because it didn't fit the name of what Christina had said our new website was. And so I talked to Christina and she goes, wait a minute, let me look at what you posted. She goes, that's a scam. That's not our website. She goes, somebody's trying to get money from us. And I said, okay, so I revoked, thank goodness I didn't pay it, and revoked the money and it's not paid. So just wanted to let everybody know, just be careful of those emails, and even mail in invoices now that aren't ours to look at them because they're scamming big time. The other thing is, go back over here. So the purple air monitors. We have been told, I got an email, this went to Dunn and city clerk, city attorney, and all, they all weighed in on it. And this is the determination that they gave. Thank you for your email. After further review and discussion, it has been determined that we cannot allow the NC to proceed with the expenditure. Based on the information that has been presented, we cannot authorize the NC to purchase these items without a full plan of execution, such as location and placement. It is suggested that the NC consult with Dunn and the NCAD to determine if the allowable for NCs is to conduct these type of projects. Another option could be awarding these funds to a nonprofit who is equipped to conduct these types of projects within your community. What basically, with further conversation, she told me is we would have to submit this with the total approval of locations, going through contracts, if there's any waiver, anything, all of that done and submitted with a plan before they'd even consider letting us spend money on this. So if you guys want to do this still, your work is not complete and it will not be complete for this fiscal year. We'll have to look at it maybe again next year. So any comments, Gwen?
With these funds rolling back into the budget, is it still below $10,000?
It's going to be with the movie.
Okay, okay, that's good. Good to know.
Yeah,
good to know. But once again, with the with nonprofits, can the nonprofit be outside of the area, but these are air monitors to be used within the neighborhood and within the community.
Right. It could be someone outside the area.
Okay, with technical expertise.
Okay. Benefiting this area.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Chris?
Thanks. Yeah, this actually speaks to my concerns when the idea was first floated, is that in this type of, I mean, really what this is government work, the contracting process with respect to permissions and insurance and all that stuff requires that you have a robust manual that describes essentially every facet of this operation, from like literally from where things will be located, the manner in which they'll be secured. If this were a private contract or a private project, for instance, to install a camera or a drinking fountain or paint a curb or whatever, there would have to be detailed instructions, including materials, personnel, their backgrounds, and all that stuff. And so I can understand the city clerk's resistance to this. And again, in other examples of this type of project, you have to really dig down into the weeds. And this is what I meant when I was unsure that this type of work would be within the scope of what the neighborhood council was intended to provide. And so it sounds as though if this is something we'd like to move forward with, and I'm still reasonably interested in helping that happen, we're going to have to behave like a contractor and build this thing out, like literally and figuratively, which probably means doing a bit more homework than we've done, but researching similar types of things, because we're basically acting as an outside contractor, except for the money part. So we'll have to do an awful lot of work to make it happen.
Right. And basically, what I got from Dunn and what I got from the city clerk was that basically what the opinion was of all is we would be better off with a nonprofit overseeing this and doing it, because they don't like the idea that the neighborhood council is going to be in charge of maintaining these things and all of that. And then what if they break? What if they aren't working right? And all the maintenance, by giving, and who's going to collect the data and who's going to analyze it, and on and on and on. All of that has to be laid out in your plan. They said it'd be better if someone else did the work and we provided the money, is their opinion.
And I think it might
be
easier
sure that this money can even be used for this type of thing.
Right. I think it might be easier for us to find a group who's done this type of work. So they would probably have this type of manual in place already. They would have had to, and we could simply substitute some of the pertinent information. But yeah, if we're still interested in going forward, I think we'd have to know that it would be with the potential that we would have to do all the work, submit that, and then still possibly be turned down.
Right. Gwen?
Well, with that, just so that others on the board are aware, the other neighborhood councils, there are people in the other neighborhood councils that are also interested in a similar program. Everyone sees importance in it. There's a lot of stakeholder interest in air quality. So this is not just our neighborhood council that is interested in air monitors, additional ones outside of the South Coast AQMD ones and the Port of Los Angeles and the other required ones for other businesses in the area, corporations. With that, this might be brought up. I will see if the Joint Sustainability Group can discuss this and some of these concerns and come up with a game plan. I do have one particular organization in mind that may be able to help with this. Thank you.
Pat,
Yeah, before we move on, I'm just gonna say I'd like to call us back to order, and since this item is not specifically on the agenda, I think that there's been a pretty good amount of discussion on a specific topic, so since it's just a finance committee report, I think we should move on to the rest of the
Okay.
report. Move
it's
on
just,
to the next.
it's important though to let everybody know as part of the report that this money is not going to be able to be spent, that the word has come across from Dunn, city attorney, and everyone, that we won't be able to use it for this, not at this time. So, okay. So that's it for the budget and finance report.
You want to do public safety next?
Sure. Let me find it. So here's the public safety report. Basically, we had a really, I wish the board would have attended this because it was a really informative public safety meeting. We had the brand new neighborhood prosecutor for Harbor Division there, John Garza, and we also had our new SLO there, Paul Umner, and they discussed the fruit vendors and the taco vendors and what's going on. They're going to be addressing them, like he said, this Friday to try and get some sort of action taken. Talked about 4118, and 4118 is really complicated. And so I've got it in the report, kind of what they said. The fireworks, it's hard to catch them. The neighborhood prosecutor says if you know they're doing the same thing as they did last year, the only thing that they can do, they recommended is if you see somebody doing it, you know the address, you know who it is, if you can get video pictures, and you can do a private person's arrest on them. They're going to look into the storing of the fireworks on Gappy Street at the storage shelter, and possibly send some dogs into the units and sniff them. But the SLO was going to contact Vice. They're considering doing task force or dummy cars to be considered for all around Pedro for the stop sign issues and a lot of street racing and speeding. LAPD is looking for volunteers, so if anybody is interested, they can work the front desk, telephones, or door knocking, depending on your skill set and what best fit for you. If you're interested, you can contact Pal Andelon at 4101@lapd.online, and you'll have to do a background check in order to do it. They do a full background check on you and fingerprinting in order to be able to volunteer. Gwen?
Well, first, is there a follow-up on the officers who were injured? Are they?
Yeah, that'll be on the CPAB report.
Wonderful. And just for a future topic for your committee, there was a fire right over by the community gardens in a pocket that might now have some homeless activity now that people have been moved out of the gulch. So fires have become a concern. So hopefully that will be a topic. Thank you.
And CPAB, let's see, whoops, where is it? There we go. So CPAB, Gwen, this is the answer to your question. Update on Ike, Woodward, Fiera, and Perez. Woodward is back helping with light duty, so is Fiera. Ike will be back on light duty and doing some social media work. Officer Perez is still not back. He's in physical therapy, and hopefully he'll be back soon. This is something that's really sad. The communications officer, Sergeant Shun, her last CPAB was on the 14th. She will no longer be at Harbor Division. She got promoted and is going to Westboro. We're getting our neighborhood prosecutor. The goal is to have more volunteer mediation and dispute resolution to address some of the crimes, and that's what they're going to be focusing on. LA Fleet Week is going to be crazy. From what I understand, what they were saying is LA Fleet Week, be cognizant that you're going to have to go all the way to the Victory to park, Lane Victory, then ride a shuttle back to Iowa, get a security check, and then go back to Lane Victory to see the ships. So that's going to be crazy with over 2,000 visitors expected. License plate readers are going up. They were stalled in some red tape, and they'll be up in the next couple of months.
Talking about the runners, it being that many runners?
Hmm?
When you say Fleet Week, are you talking about all the influx of runners coming?
No,
or
no,
everybody?
Fleet Week, we're talking about the ships that they're having, the USS Portland and the USS.
They have a big run too, and there's like 3,000.
That's the LA, that's way before Fleet Week. That's at the kickoff of it. This is.
Got it.
Yeah. RV restrictions are being removed. So that way the 5611 about with all the RVs parking by parks and schools and all that will be implemented again, as well as the dumping and everything that they've been doing. They're going to start removing them, and if they're like drug dens and messes and putting public waste, human waste all over, they've got service process that they'll end up either impounding them or destroying them, and going from there. It's there's been 2 successful cases in Pedro. Porch pirates are being really bad right now, and they're putting in a process with this volunteer effort where they will be going to collaborate volunteers to collect data around the neighborhoods where the porch pirates have been, to go collect video camera footage from neighbors and all that, to try and collect data to start arresting some of these porch pirates, because there's a lot of them lately. One of the problems too is that on social media, a lot of people are posting, oh, I saw this crime happened here, this crime happened here. And instead of calling LAPD, calling it in, filing your reports, calling the non-emergency number, calling 911, they're using Facebook and social media as a source to report a crime. The captain is asking, do not do that. Call the police first. It's important because the more reports we get, the more cops we're going to get, because the crime rate status will be more equivalent to what's going on than the non-calls. Other than that, we got the attention of the captain about the bathrooms here at Harbor Highland. They arrested a couple of individuals in our bathrooms the other morning because they've been using them as their home. And so he's working on getting them locked so they at night, so they aren't sleeping in there and doing drugs in there. So that's it. Bylaws. Ray.
So something just to clarify, am I to understand that their LAPD is going to try to get Parks and Rec to lock the bathrooms at Harbor Highlands at night? I thought they were already being locked at night by the
Ray, what happened? This happened before you came on to the NC. What happened was Dan Dedman sent me an email because they kept getting busted and they kept damaging the sensors to lock them. And she sent me an email about 6 months ago saying, this is getting too expensive to fix, and we have to come up with a better alternative to lock these. And until we do, there's nothing we can do because we're spending too much money. So they've stayed open, unlocked. It's been nuts.
Okay, thank you.
Did youth and outreach, is that the next committee that wants to make a report?
Chris?
Okay, if not youth and outreach, planning and land use?
Sorry, I had to go upstairs for a second. Did I proceed? Okay. Oh, there we go. Thanks. No, that's planning and land use. There we are. All right. Most of our discussion was more the nuts and bolts about the movie event in the park. We did have a brief, basically what Melanie already covered about the status of the air quality monitors prior to the information that we just received. And so we worked out the budget and the broad strokes for the planning for Bogdanovich movie planning. As it stands right now, we're in place with the people at the park. I'd reached out to a food truck vendor. It turns out maybe wasn't such a, based on some other advice I've been given, wasn't such a good prospect. So we are still looking to recruit or to interest any food trucks that might want to come to a kind of a captive audience sort of thing with up to a couple hundred people. So if anyone has ideas for specific trucks or vendors that we might want to reach out to, you could email me or anyone else on the committee with that information. But as you can see, we have we already covered the line items for the budget itself. And this is sort of intended to kick off, hopefully a fingers crossed post-COVID era of public events. And we're looking into possibly partnering, having a pop-up or a table at Music by the Sea, if and when that continues as it has in the past. And that was pretty much it. The only other thing was that, again, we're still, I'm still interested in putting some information together, maybe a social media campaign about the condition of sidewalks around San Pedro. And so if you have even cell phone pictures or location information for any like particularly egregious or dangerous sidewalk conditions, please send those to me via email, and I'll put them in kind of a little library. And then when we have enough, I will probably put some social media posts, and through the Public Works Liaison function, probably try to reach out to street services to see if we can get some, attention. I think I saw Gwen's hand first.
No, technically Melanie did.
Oh, okay. Well, go ahead, Mel.
Two things. Music of the Sea, unless they let us go free, we wouldn't be able to sponsor them. It's too late.
Okay.
Because we would have to take it to the board to be able to sponsor them, and May 20th for the event would be like, it's gone.
Understood.
So unfortunately, they would have had to submit sooner. If they want to let us go free there, then great, and just participate. That's fine. The other thing was, have you reached out to Rec and Park at up at Bogdanovich? Because they're the ones usually that arrange the food trucks in the past.
Yeah, there's been some conversations already. I think they're,
we don't get involved in it because otherwise we have to sign a contract with them. They have to do it.
Yeah, and it was really just a matter of sort of fact finding and seeing if people were interested, and then they would have to be forwarded to the park to make those arrangements.
Alrighty. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Gwen.
Back in 2020, April, there was supposed to be a public safety and Wild Fest Earth Day event. I'm hoping that those kind of considerations might be able to be brought back again. Once again, a spring event and a fall event. Hope that can also be kept in mind.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, wherever possible and practical, we can partner on those things. And if other committees want to start to organize events like that, obviously we're going to be working with next year's money and calendar, but that's always something, that's really kind of the whole outreach function is one of the things we do. So any other questions, comments? All right, we can hand off to planning and land use.
Go ahead, Diana.
Thank you. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Good. Okay, actually, the main part of the planning and land use report is going to be given by Alec tonight. However, there are a couple of things I wanted to point out first. First of all, there's 2 new projects of note. The plans for a storage facility have just been filed with the city for the area on Miraflores behind the animal shelter and car wash. So there's an application in for that. So at some point in the future, we'll be looking at that. Second thing I want you to be aware of is that the County of Los Angeles and Volunteers of America are planning to repurpose the Best Western on Gappy to house homeless veterans. They're going to be discussing their plans at the Joint Planning Committee meeting on Wednesday, May 25th. And then I wanted to update you on 3 things that actually this board requested the city to do and the progress on them. The first was that we requested them to look at the Viper rentals for compliance with the specific plan. And I recently received notification that this has now been referred to the city attorney. So that means I think there were some violations and they've not been corrected. I've not been able to find out exactly what violations they're actually pursuing, but I thought that was good news. The second one is that quite some time ago, we asked them to repair the Gappy Street Bridge. And it was recently done. It looks a whole lot better, although there's still one section boarded up. And I don't know if that's something that happened after they fixed it or what that one little section is. And the third thing is, and this one is much older, we asked them about restoring the Elberon Bridge. And I was recently informed that the council office is in the planning stages for the restoration. So with that, I want to turn it over to Alec.
Okay, so basically from the minutes of our joint planning and land use meeting, it was basically just one thing. The plan for the Rancho San Pedro presentation was given to us. And basically they're in the specific plan stage. They have the environmental impact report is currently under review by LA, and also their impact and statements for the environmental processes. Right now they're planning on demolishing, I think, around 400, 500 units, and they're going to be replacing that with 1,600. So they're going to, I think it's like 3 times more units with this development. And I remember asking them right around 2024 is when they expect to be done with the construction. So it's like 2 years away. So it's pretty good. And I thought the one main thing about this that was really good is that 70% of the housing is going to be affordable. So we're obviously pushing more of the affordable housing thing. So it's good that a lot of the new units are going to be affordable. And we did go over, there's a initiative letter that we discussed briefly, which is called Healthy Buildings and Healthy Place Initiative. There was, if you go to the minutes, there's a link to all the information on there. We didn't have time to discuss it fully or do any action on it, but that's something to look at. And then the last thing that we did was we considered a motion and it passed unanimously, which was regarding the Northwest Council motion for extension of time that I think we just went over. So that was pretty much it.
Okay, great. Just do the report.
Yeah, also it's up there if anyone wants to see it. Those are the minutes from the joint planning land use meeting.
Excellent. Next up is the Community Issues Committee. Do you have a report?
Yeah, this will be brief. We touched base on the skate park. We got an update from Andy that they're trying to finish everything by June have a middle of June, maybe the end of June opening. They got a few things they got to finish up and another mural, like she was telling us earlier on in the report. And I've been getting some emails, so has Dan, on sidewalks that are just, they're horrendous. Some of the sidewalks that I've gotten pictures of, and we're looking into it, that a child can crawl under it. It's like a tunnel. That's how tall the sidewalk is. They're just raised up like a mountain. A lot of people, they're saying they can't go over it with wheelchairs or scooters or anything. So we're going to be looking at that. And also we had the LA Metro, and I also had LADOT come to the meeting, and they explained to us some of the bus routes that they're changing, that the dash line will not be going through Harbor, downtown into the Harbor area where the new development is. That's going to be taken over by LA Metro. And then there are some other bus routes that Dash is going to be doing that will make it so there's not a half-hour wait or more. They're trying to cut it down to 15 minutes. Also, we've explained a couple of routes that we're looking at, and they're going to look into it, but they got to talk to some of the other higher ups about it, and they'll keep us, in the loop on it and let us know in the further future here on that. The other thing that Dan found out was the Navy, the deal about the Navy situation. That's going to be on hold till, sometime next summer in 2023. And he had talked to, I believe it was Craig, and told us about that. There right now it's on hold. They're not doing anything. They'll let us know maybe by the end of the year when it gets closer, so we know something about, in mid 2023. And that's it for that.
Did you want to entertain a question from Gwen?
Go ahead, Gwen.
So for the sidewalks, should we reach out to you? Christian had mentioned, Chris Valle had mentioned a different contact for the sidewalk situation. Should we also refer to you?
Yeah, we've been dealing with it, Dan and I, in our committee, the issues, and partly with also Melanie at Public Safety. But I've been getting photos and stuff and from our stakeholders. So yeah, if you would let me know about it, myself and Dan include us, we will look into it.
And forgive me, clarification on the defense fuel supply point. So was there any mention that they had gotten a bidder for the site, or is it just completely on hold wherever it is?
It's completely on hold right now till mid 2023. Yeah.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. Ray?
Yeah, this is a question that I probably need more information on, but perhaps maybe it's something that I know previously we have discussed. Our communities here in the Harbor community, the populations is at least are making plans on the population of our Harbor community to grow with all the building that's going on. And there was discussion years ago about, what would it take to get more rapid transit or better transportation down here, for those who have to get themselves into the downtown area or other areas, north of us. So the question actually is, are we ever going to be populated enough to get a rail coming down here so that we can have, some real quick access to rapid transit into the downtown area or point south.
Well,
we did
touch base on
we're
it.
getting to the saturation point as far as community density.
Well, we did touch base a little bit on it, that a rail system is not in the future right now. But what they are going to do, and I can tell you this from Scott and from Kay, is they are picking up electric buses. They're going to be buying a certain amount of electric buses. And one of the routes is going to be from San Pedro to downtown LA and back to San Pedro. And our concern is, is it a once a day, twice a day run? Because the bus is going to consume a lot once you start putting the weight in it. And as you guys know, and I don't know if I told you, but I'm a mechanic and I've dealt with battery issues at the airport working at for the airlines, that even we've had troubles with certain amount of batteries. They've made a lithium case battery that still does not put out the longevity. It's only going to be 100 miles, 125 miles. So, but they're going to have midway, they'll have stations to charge it. It'll be a quick charge. But that is, as right now, Ray, that's the only thing that they'll do, is they'll add, bus lines like that. The rail system is not in their terms right now.
I just want to remind everyone that I believe it was Measure M, if I remember correctly, where we were all taxed, for
Measure M.
so that we, along with the rest of the city, was contributing to rail spurs going to other directions. I would think, in all fairness to our harbor community, that perhaps maybe a relook should occur. And I think nothing happens until you start asking the question and maybe applying a little bit of constituent pressure on those people who make a difference. I think it's warranted to start looking at that.
And I think we got to get to the right people. Scott and Kay, they didn't really give us the answers we were looking for.
Yeah.
And our next step now is to see who is and who can we talk to, and possibly bring them on one of our stakeholder meeting here, and go with that, and let's see what they have to say.
Just something to think about, maybe put on your agenda.
Yes. Okay. D'Amiglio?
Yeah, because I was in that meeting also. And what I got out of it is that we were bypassed, basically. Yeah. And the only thing they did do, which they did comment on putting in more electric buses, which is great, but they actually eliminated line, the line on Pacific, I think it was.
Right.
And they had another line that was already existing. Basically, those people are now going to have to walk to Gappy to get a bus, basically. So, and then what came out of it also is that they don't revisit this for another 10 years. And that was said in the meeting. And, we made our comments on how we needed more dash lines and more convenient for people to actually feel comfortable riding the bus, thinking it's going to work for them. But right now it isn't working for anybody, and there's not a bunch of people going to ride the bus if they don't have enough lines in there. And at this point, all of San Pedro is lacking. And my personal thing is, I would love to park my car in the garage and take a bus all over San Pedro, but it's not possible. It's not possible at this time. So that's just my comment on that. Thank you.
Yeah, they did mention that the way they were putting it is that you have to have a certain amount of people on the bus in order for it to be usable. So if you got like, let's say 150 people they start from 6 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock if only 150 people ride it, it's not worth it to them to put a bus line. And, you know, and they're expecting 200, 300, 400 people a day. So that it's not what we expected out of them. And like I said, we need to go a little bit higher. We need to find out who else we can talk to besides these two guys. So, and we're going to work on that. Gwen?
Actually, that response is really disingenuous. The simple fact is, and planning and land use is dealing with this issue entirely. Well, you know, they've changed zoning so that homes and new developments around public transportation, which they have planned for, you can only have one vehicle or no vehicles within a certain radius of that public transportation line. So honestly, the train line that goes all the way down to the Santa Monica Pier, that's not being used at nearly to effect, not at all. Public transportation right now needs encouragement to get that kind of ridership. It does not have it anywhere that it exists.
Right.
Simple fact. And what's really irks me is that, and thank you, Ray, for mentioning this. For example, there is something called the Gold Line. You literally can go from all parts of the valley. You can go to the coastline, and now you can take a line that's going to go down the 405 all the way to Torrance, and you can actually get the Gold Line, which goes all the way out to almost Riverside. You can go to the San Bernardino, and it really irks me that they only have a silver line that comes down the freeway. And you know, this was the original freeway. Why they don't have it, I don't know. And especially, and this is the one thing that should be made a case of, is that the West Harbor development, that is a major tourism development. I believe that Fleet Week should be used as a gauge of what will happen when they put in the amphitheater and the other entertainment things. We're really going to have, you know, come on.
Well, no, and you're right.
It's disingenuous. It really is.
Dash Line decided LADOT decided to dump the Dash Line to go down to the harbor. They left it now to LA Metro. But you know, so
let's come since the transportation is not specifically on the agenda. I think we should continue on with the community issues report or move on to the next report.
Yeah, no, that's it. We're done.
Okay. Environment and sustainability.
I think Chris had his hand up.
Yeah,
Chris had his hand up.
Go ahead, Gwen, with the environmental and sustainability report.
Okay. Well, we do have minutes from the joint sustainability committee, and really honestly, I hope that the board can start, some representatives from the board can join in on that joint sustainability committee meeting. It's very enlightening. We go through some seriously, there's a lot of stuff coming through the port, and there's a lot of environmental issues for all of us in the harbor that are coming through there. I hope you all read it, and I hope maybe it can be popped on for just half a minute.
Lori has her hand up.
The minutes. Yes, Lori.
Hi, I'm a little frustrated. My hand's been up for 10 minutes as a stakeholder to speak on the last issue.
Oh.
Okay, and I wasn't called on. So I'm going to speak on that issue. I was at the issues committee, and I'm the one that arranged to get DOT and Metro to that meeting. Okay, because we need to talk to the right people. We can't just suggest bus lines without talking to the right people. But there's some things that aren't being covered. First of all, what they said there was that the requests needed to come through CD15, through our council office. And to my knowledge, we never received any information from our council office that we could put some input on the bus line. The other thing It's been a long time, but if you think back to when Measure M was on the ballot, San Pedro wasn't even in there. We were going to be an afterthought. We weren't going to be part of Measure M. It was going to be a start of a whole thing. So our peninsula wasn't even on the table, and they consider the silver bus line a quote rail line. And Gwen made a very important point when she stated that a lot of the new affordable housing only is built and subsidized if it's within a certain distance of public transportation. And if that's not available, they're still pushing through and not having parking available at these places. This is a bigger issue than just passing this over. We need to have, and we should have shown here the two maps that they presented showing the changes in the bus lines. Would have been a lot easier for John to explain, both Johns, to explain when you could see a picture of it, of how it's moving around. But no matter how you look at it, okay, we do not have rapid transit in our area. And the last thing I need to make a point of, Metro is hurting through COVID, okay? People were not riding the bus because they weren't going anywhere, but the homeless people experiencing homelessness, I correct myself, were living on some of the buses. And so huge safety issues arose, and now Metro's trying to look into this, and they're having to come up with the expense of having security available on the buses that aren't even having that many riders on them. So I hope somebody will take this whole issue and look at the whole thing. And I'm sorry I'm on a rant. I was just frustrated that I wasn't called on. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Laurie. I appreciate that. Sometimes it's difficult to identify the public speakers on Zoom, but when there's a significant amount of opinion being injected into the report section, then I just think that we need to give the public full notice and have it agendized as a specific thing so that the public can weigh in on it, and so the council can weigh on it fully. So since it wasn't on the agenda, though, that's why I think we need to move on to the next report, and then I think we're on environment and sustainability. So continue with the report, and then let's try to save opinions or calls for certain actions to happen at the next meeting when it's specifically on there. Go ahead, Gwen, continue.
Okay, well, I do hope that the minutes can be brought up real quick. I'm trying to bring it up on my own screen. Bear with me. Here it is. With this is something that kind of segues into public safety and a lot of other things, community issues. Cool blocks. I'm going to be running my own cool block. It's right at the top there. Richard Watson. He was one of the first people to speak. The Cool Blocks program actually received about $1 million from as a grant, Los Angeles. So I think that there might still be some opportunities to start a cool block within your own neighborhood. You can do anything from consider a neighborhood watch within your community, inform people, and maybe try to get yards to be lower water usage, since that's such a serious concern. There's all sorts of things that you can do with the cool blocks, but it is a community bonding project where you get to know your neighbors, and everything from emergency preparedness, public safety, lowering your carbon footprint, those kind of things. It's something that you can build on. So like the sidewalks, that's something that could be discussed. Anyway, what will be coming up that came through the joint sustainability, I'll have this on the the next sustainability meeting, third Thursday. Once again, Patrick O'Donnell has, for the 4th time, submitted a bill for getting funding for the Los Angeles Rivers and Mountains Conservancy to pay attention to the harbor area and to the Santa Catalina Island, the watershed. This is a tremendous amount of funds for open spaces to bring water that, all of the cemented rivers and things like that it's the possibility of creating wetlands and re-restoring a lot of stuff that's been lost in the last 200 years. So that's going to be coming back up, and we are going to support it. And this time around, it's really important to get, Lori, I hope that the South Coast government can, South Bay City's government, SC, that they can get on board with this, because this bill, it will bring a lot of funds to the wider South Bay, not just the harbor area. And we also are attending to healthy buildings and healthy places. Hopefully the Sustainability Committee can also weigh in on a few items, and we'll try to do that. DDT field that's out there in the harbor. So I'm sure that all of you have heard about the barrels that were dumped so long ago, and then they've been rediscovered, and a lot of them are leaking. Well, both of our senators and Nanette Barragan have been working very hard to get federal funding in order to fund a study to find out the impact of this. And since the last time, when they already knew what they had and that there was potential for more, they found another area which they're labeling Area 2, which is over by Santa Catalina Island, over by Two Harbors. And that area, they just took DDT and took barrels and just dumped it right into the ocean. So that's a whole other area that needs more study. So our federal representatives are trying to get more funding. Now this is the next item is pretty significant. So, and this is the part that I hope that some of you will be able to join us on. So the Port of Los Angeles has taken a leadership role in the world. There's a partnership now with the Port of Shanghai. This partnership was formed through an organization called C40. There are ports all through the world that have signed on to zero emission shipping. And this is not just that it's not just the equipment that's used at the harbor itself. We're talking about ships that are going to go zero emission. We're talking about all of the cargo, the transport and cargo owners, the retail brands are also going to be collaborating for zero emission shipping. Shipping is a heavily greenhouse gas emitting industry. It's something we all rely upon, and this is an extremely ambitious goal. And once again, this port right here is taking the leadership in making a plan, having it presented at the next C40 meeting that's happening in the fall, and try to get the whole system from warehouse, from manufacturer, over imports and exports, getting it zero emission by 2030. This is an accelerated deadline, and it's a tremendous thing. And we as the community have an input in this. So if you can see in large caps, this community has an opportunity to be part of the process that will make this global change. And look at that article. Do know that there is a stakeholder component to this whole thing, and that we should become engaged and bring our thoughts to this process. We actually will make a change in a global impact. We ourselves can do this. So this minutes right here talks about it from the beginning to kind of gives you a formative idea if you're not completely familiar with all of the history of what's been going on since the Paris Climate Agreement. but we're at a point where our neighborhood councils can actually be part of this process, and it's pretty significant. So please look at that, and possibly look at the actual recording of the meeting. And then the last bit, of course, we thank you for entertaining the letter and passing it. And there's one more thing, item 4. There's a council file for the green hydrogen hub. So, okay, so the federal government has released about $8 billion, I believe it is, for 4 green hydrogen producing hubs across the United States. And right now, the city of Los Angeles is submitting a motion to have one of those hydrogen hubs placed here and actually in the harbor. Well, hydrogen technology is a two-edged sword. You can go to hydrogen. Hydrogen is supposedly a clean technology. It isn't if you burn hydrogen. It is clean if you turn the hydrogen into hydrogen cells and produce electricity from them. So there's the idea that they want to bring hydrogen technology here is fine, but there are some drawbacks if it's not done properly. And there's also some concerns that having a hydrogen hub here in producing hydrogen, that can be a very water usage intensive process. And so there are concerns about, here we are in California, in Southern California, water is precious. There's things to address there. But this motion is coming up. We're going to be thinking about it very carefully and trying to come up with some significant feedback on this. And that's pretty much it. And then, of course, Alan Franz is trying to lead an open space, green space component, and that will be coming up in the future. But just read the minutes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Gwen. There's no port committee report. Mr. Secretary, would you like to do a Science Center report?
There's no report for the Science Center this time.
Okay. Madam Treasurer, would you like to do a Harbor Alliance report?
Yes. Let's see, I gotta switch this over. Whoops. Share and report. Okay, so there is in your packet, I'm not going to share it here because they're huge. There's 3 attachments. There's attachments from the planning department. There's attachments from LADWP, all of that information that came from Hank that are in the files for the meeting. There's a big, huge community emissions reductions grant program. The application period is 5/23 to 7/15/22. That's going to happen. That information is in the packet. City Hall reopened through meetings, but just for the staff for City Hall, it's virtual for all kinds of meetings. For City Hall meetings, there isn't, it's not open to the public. Let's see, Raquel Bertrand was there. She gave a brief report. The NCs, they will remain virtual until further notice. They had the budget and finance hearings and budget memos submitted to CAO and TAO. May 18th, City Council will be hearing the proposed budget. They hired a conflict resolution position, staffing included, that was going to be included, agreed to in the budget. Bylaws will be finished by July, is what they've said for all neighborhood councils. There is a meeting that's coming up on the bonk code of conduct. They sent an email out. It's gonna be, Lynn Schaefer sent it out, and I forget, I just saw the email. It's coming up soon where they're gonna be doing another draft code of conduct meeting. The last one, there was like 12 people that showed up for it, going over the red line draft code of conduct. They recommend that everybody show that can. The EVG working group, that's the virtual governance group that is going over the hybrid meeting protocols, you know, and all of that, whether it's going to be in person or hybrid, all of that, we reconvened. We had our first meeting the other night. I'm part of that group again. And so I'll bring information to you as we meet going forward. ADA visits have started. We had our ADA visit. There's going to be problems with our site, for our meeting site, because we don't have Wi-Fi. So it's going to be a problem for ADA access, you know, for hybrid meetings for us. So we may have to look at a different place to meet for our board meetings, if we when we go hybrid. We just don't know yet when it's going to be. Cheryl was going to resign as admin from Hank because she's doing everything. I stepped in as assistant to her to start assisting with Hank so Hank could continue. Otherwise, Hank was going to have to dissolve temporarily. So I stepped in to take on part of the role to help her with the admin duties for Hank. They had the port meeting. The only thing that came out of that for the joint presidents meeting was Chris Cannon looking at a systemic way to extend comment period time, trying to come up with a good solution, possibly get advanced briefing on ERs coming up so NCs are prepared to weigh in on them. There is a large presentation regarding about Wilmington container traffic. The white paper's out for budget advocates. It's online. They gave a presentation at the Budget and Finance Committee. They talked about the things that were brought up by Scott Gaines about LA Fleet Week. It's the 27th to the 30th. It's the US Portland and the USS Essex. It's going to be huge. And the big thing about the traffic, you know, going to Lane Victory and back and forth for the security checks. Lobster Fest is in September. Cars and Stripes is July 1st, 2022. And then the candidate forum, the date they had wrong. It was this last Saturday, the 7th, not the 14th. And that's it.
Okay, thank you, Madam Treasurer. So we'll move on now then to our liaison reports, if there are any. Is there an LADWP report or a Public Works report? Okay, if there are no liaison reports, we'll move on to announcement. I think the announcement I will make is the primary nominating election is on June 7th, and I encourage everyone to get out and vote and to encourage your community to get out and vote. Any other announcements? Okay, if there are no other, go ahead, Commissioner Regalado.
Thanks. Real quick, June, I think, has been discussed to have our annual executive officers election. So I just think, in all fairness to everyone, give everyone an opportunity to think about who you want to continue with the executive positions for Northwest San Pedro. That's it.
All righty. Any other announcements? Okay. We'll move back then to our second opportunity for public comment. Would anyone like to give public comment? Okay, go ahead, Pat Nave.
Yes, I'm very concerned about this idea that we're going to retreat from having joint meetings and go back to being insular and have 4 committees acting separately. We worked for years trying to get a joint voice, and so we can have an impact on agencies such as the planning department and the port in particular. And it's with the joint meetings that we get the best opportunity to have input from public officials. I would suggest that maybe what we do, if this is going to be a sticking point for some or everybody, that what we're going to end up doing or should do is just have the joint meeting and have the individual committee meetings noticed for the same time and place so that they can, for example, the actions that took place at the joint meeting could be taken as if they were also actions of the Northwest Committee. That is, in essence, what the Joint Planning and Land Use Committee has done on occasion. That's it.
Okay, well, I think my understanding of the discussion earlier was that the joint committee and then having a committee separately, like one doesn't preclude the other, and they can exist at the same time as kind of you suggested. But if we want to flesh that out, we could do that at the executive committee, I think.
Well, what's been happening is that people will attend one but not the other. If you're going to have them to attend the joint meeting, which is where a lot of the really good work happens, people are not going to go on a separate night to a separate meeting. It just won't.
Yeah, I think that is plausible and understandable. So perhaps we could discuss that at the executive meeting or at maybe a special meeting of some kind. Gwen, did you want to talk about that issue, or which will lead us into a potential discussion of a specific topic, or did you want to give another public comment?
Well, actually, I wanted to ask Melanie, since you are part of that logistical portion of this particular topic. One of the challenges of having a joint meeting and then having breakout meetings is that there's only one Zoom license, so I don't think that 3 committees can break out into separate groups after a joint meeting, for example, or 5, if all, or if all the neighborhood councils do that. I'm hoping that this can be part of that topic of discussion logistically for these hybrid meetings and how things will proceed in the future.
What I would think would happen, Gwen, is that you would use whatever Zoom license is for the joint and then reconvene on our own neighborhood council license, move over on that license for your regular meeting. I would guess, because you couldn't use Richard Havenick's Zoom license for your joint sustainability for your regular meeting.
Okay, so well, that was my question.
Point of order, this is general comment, not a discussion.
You're right. We'll take this offline. Thank you.
Yeah, your point is well taken, Mr. Secretary. You can make another public comment on a separate item, but if not, we'll move on to other public comment. Okay. There's no other request for public comment, then the next, Mr. Secretary, do you want to make an announcement of the next meeting?
Next meeting is, it's Monday the 13th, not Friday the 13th, but June 13th.
Okay,
at
very
6
good.
p.m.
Excellent. Is there a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved. Gwen Henry.
Okay, is there a second?
Second, Melanie LeBrecq.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilwoman Henry, seconded by Madam Treasurer Melanie LeBrecq to adjourn this meeting of the Northwest San Pedro Neighborhood Council's May meeting. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any
Thank you.
opposed? Okay, this meeting is adjourned then. Have a wonderful rest of your evening and we'll see you in June.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Good night.